Welcome back to our lecture series on the brain and behavior. In today's session, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of neuroanatomy, the critical role of neurotransmitters, and the intricate relationship between the brain and behavior. We'll also explore mental health disorders, focusing on depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia. So let's get started. First, let's talk about neuroanatomy. The brain is an incredibly complex organ, composed of various structures that each have unique functions. Understanding these structures is key to understanding how our brain influences behavior. Neuroanatomy refers to the study of the structure of the nervous system. The brain can be divided into several major parts: the cerebrum, cerebellum, brainstem, and limbic system. Each of these parts has distinct roles. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, responsible for higher brain functions like thought, action, and sensory processing. It's divided into two hemispheres, each controlling the opposite side of the body. The cerebrum itself is divided into four lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. The frontal lobe is involved in decision-making, problem-solving, and planning. It's also critical for voluntary movement and expressive language. The parietal lobe processes sensory information, including touch, temperature, and pain. The occipital lobe is primarily responsible for vision, while the temporal lobe handles auditory information and is essential for memory and language. Next, we have the cerebellum, located at the back of the brain. It's crucial for motor control, coordination, and balance. Damage to the cerebellum can result in loss of coordination and difficulties with movement. The brainstem connects the brain to the spinal cord and controls vital life functions such as breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. It consists of the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. Finally, the limbic system, often referred to as the emotional brain, includes structures such as the hippocampus, amygdala, and hypothalamus. The hippocampus is essential for memory formation. The amygdala processes emotions like fear and pleasure, and the hypothalamus regulates various bodily functions, including hunger, thirst, and sleep. Now let's delve into neurotransmitters. These chemical messengers play a crucial role in transmitting signals across the brain and body, influencing mood, behavior, and mental health. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that enable communication between neurons. They are released from the presynaptic neuron and travel across the synapse to bind to receptors on the postsynaptic neuron. This process is essential for brain function and impacts everything from our mood to our motor skills. One of the most well-known neurotransmitters is dopamine. It's often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter because it's associated with pleasure and reward. Dopamine also plays a role in movement and motivation. Imbalances in dopamine levels are linked to conditions such as Parkinson's disease, schizophrenia, and addiction. Serotonin is another crucial neurotransmitter often linked to mood regulation. It's sometimes called the happiness hormone. Low levels of serotonin are associated with depression and anxiety. Serotonin also impacts sleep, appetite, and digestion. Norepinephrine, also known as noradrenaline, affects attention and responding actions. It's involved in the body's fight-or-flight response and helps manage stress. Imbalances in norepinephrine can contribute to mood disorders, such as depression and anxiety. Gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. It reduces neuronal excitability throughout the nervous system. Low levels of GABA are associated with anxiety disorders, and many anti-anxiety medications work by enhancing GABA activity. Glutamate, on the other hand, is the primary excitatory neurotransmitter. It's crucial for synaptic plasticity, which is essential for learning and memory. However, excessive glutamate can be toxic and is linked to conditions like Alzheimer's disease and ALS. To truly understand the brain-behavior relationship, let's look at some case studies and research findings that highlight how changes in the brain can impact behavior. One of the most famous case studies in neuropsychology is that of Phineas Gage. In 1848, Gage survived an accident where a large iron rod was driven completely through his head, damaging much of his brain's left frontal lobe. Remarkably, he survived, but his personality changed drastically. He went from being a mild-mannered, responsible worker to someone who was impulsive and irresponsible. This case provided early evidence that the frontal lobes are involved in personality and behavior. Another significant area of research is in post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Brain imaging studies have shown that individuals with PTSD often have reduced volumes in the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, as well as increased activity in the amygdala. These changes are thought to contribute to the symptoms of PTSD, such as hyperarousal, intrusive memories, and emotional dysregulation. Research into Alzheimer's disease has also provided valuable insights. Alzheimer's is characterized by the buildup of amyloid plaques and tau tangles in the brain, leading to neuronal death and brain atrophy. Symptoms include memory loss, confusion, and changes in behavior. Understanding these brain changes helps in developing treatments aimed at slowing disease progression. Parkinson's disease is another neurological condition that has been extensively studied. It involves the degeneration of dopamine-producing neurons in the substantia nigra, a part of the brain responsible for movement control. This leads to symptoms such as tremors, rigidity, and bradykinesia, slowness of movement. Research into Parkinson's has led to treatments like levodopa, which helps replenish dopamine levels in the brain. Epilepsy is a neurological disorder characterized by recurrent seizures. These seizures are caused by abnormal electrical activity in the brain. Brain imaging studies have shown that individuals with epilepsy often have structural abnormalities in the brain, such as cortical dysplasia or hippocampal sclerosis. Understanding these abnormalities helps in developing targeted treatments and surgical interventions. Autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a developmental disorder that affects communication and behavior. Neuroimaging studies have revealed that individuals with ASD often have differences in brain connectivity, particularly in areas related to social communication and sensory processing. These findings are helping researchers develop more effective interventions and support strategies for individuals with autism. Now let's turn our focus to mental health disorders. We'll discuss depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia, examining their symptoms, underlying brain mechanisms, and current treatment options. Depression is one of the most common mental health disorders, characterized by persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and a lack of interest in activities. Research has shown that depression is associated with imbalances in neurotransmitters like serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine. Structural changes in the brain, such as reduced hippocampal volume, have also been observed. Symptoms of depression can vary widely, but common signs include persistent sad or empty mood, feelings of hopelessness or pessimism, irritability, feelings of guilt or worthlessness, loss of interest in hobbies or activities, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, changes in sleep patterns, and thoughts of death or suicide. It's important to recognize these symptoms early and seek professional help. Neuroimaging studies have revealed that individuals with depression often have reduced volumes in the hippocampus, a region of the brain involved in memory and emotional regulation. Chronic stress, which is a significant risk factor for depression, can lead to the release of cortisol, a stress hormone that can damage the hippocampus over time. Anxiety disorders are another prevalent category of mental health conditions, including generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and social anxiety disorder. These disorders are characterized by excessive fear and anxiety, often accompanied by physical symptoms such as a racing heart, sweating, trembling, shortness of breath, and gastrointestinal issues. Neuroimaging studies have shown hyperactivity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, in individuals with anxiety disorders. The prefrontal cortex, which is involved in executive functions and regulating emotions, often shows decreased activity. This imbalance between the amygdala and prefrontal cortex contributes to the heightened fear and anxiety experienced by individuals with these disorders. Schizophrenia is a severe mental health disorder characterized by distorted thinking, perceptions, emotions, and behavior. Symptoms include hallucinations, delusions, disorganized thinking, and cognitive impairments. Hallucinations can involve seeing or hearing things that aren't there, while delusions are false beliefs that are not based in reality. Research indicates that schizophrenia involves a complex interplay of genetic and environmental factors. Brain imaging studies have revealed abnormalities in brain structure and function, including enlarged ventricles and reduced gray matter in the prefrontal cortex and temporal lobes. These structural changes are thought to contribute to the cognitive and perceptual disturbances seen in schizophrenia. Treatment for these disorders often involves a combination of medication and therapy. Antidepressants can help balance neurotransmitter levels in depression, while anxiolytics and psychotherapy are commonly used for anxiety disorders. Antipsychotic medications are the primary treatment for schizophrenia, helping to manage symptoms by targeting dopamine pathways. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is a widely used therapeutic approach for many mental health disorders. It involves identifying and challenging negative thought patterns and behaviors, and developing healthier ways of thinking and coping. CBT has been shown to be effective in treating depression, anxiety disorders, and even schizophrenia when used alongside medication. In addition to traditional treatments, emerging technologies like transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, and deep brain stimulation, DBS, are being explored for their potential in treating various mental health conditions. TMS uses magnetic fields to stimulate nerve cells in the brain and has shown promise in treating depression. DBS involves implanting electrodes in specific areas of the brain to regulate abnormal activity and is primarily used for conditions like Parkinson's disease and severe OCD. Understanding the brain and its impact on behavior is a complex but fascinating journey. The interplay between neuroanatomy, neurotransmitters, and mental health underscores the importance of continued research in this field. If you found this video informative, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our future lectures.